Hey everyone, this is Elizabeth at craftsbyhappystamper.com. Thanks for joining me. This video was requested after I posted this winged box card on the One Stamp at a Time blog hop that was a week ago now, I think, and I'm just getting around now to posting this video, so I hope you enjoy it. So this is what the box looks like, completely done, and I didn't tie the crochet lace holding it closed tightly so that I could easily remove it, but I think it looks gorgeous like that. And the wings just open up onto the sides of each other, so the box opens like that. It's a beautiful box, and you can actually have the wings open up diagonally if you wish, but I just did it. I thought it looked cute like that with them both opening up to a large. So I did this for my technique club, and they get these reference cards for every new technique that we do. But we're going to go ahead and get started. So first you're going to start with an 8 1/4 by an 8 1/4 sheet of cardstock, and it's scored at 2 3/4 and 7 inches on both sides. So you're just going to score it and then turn it 90 degrees and score it again at 2 3/4 and 7 inches. Once you've got it scored, I just took the bottom right one and I cut along the score line from the bottom to the first score line, so the 2 3/4 inch score line. And then I just cut a little random piece flap off. It doesn't matter how much you cut off here, it just allows the box to close a little tighter. If you don't cut this little flap, then your box is going to actually be a little bit bigger than it's supposed to be, and your lid won't close completely. So you'll see after I cut the little sides of the flap, I also cut a little bit off the end of the flap. I didn't do that with my original box, but I thought I would try it with this one to see if it closed a little tighter. I don't think it really made a difference, so it's up to you whether you want to do it or not. And I obviously sped up this video so you didn't have to watch me actually do all this cutting in real time. I'm actually kind of slow at it, especially on this light cardstock. I think it's a little bit difficult to see the score marks, at least in my setup here. So once I have everything cut, I'm just vernishing everything and making sure that all the creases are nice and tight, and then I'm going to add sticky strip to both sides of each of the flaps and fold the box, and this just makes the base of the box. And unfortunately I accidentally deleted the section where I undid all the sticky strip after I put it on and then folded the box up together, but I think that you can pretty much get the idea of it from this. So I put 2 pieces of sticky strip on each flap like I'm showing you. And you could use fast fuse here, but I broke my fast fuse, so that's why I'm using sticky strip. So this is the final box. You can see that each flap just folds up onto each other. This is just the final bottom of the box, I suppose I should say. So it's pretty simplistic. It's just a traditional box base. But now we're going to take the 2 top pieces for the top, and they are both 5 1/2 by 5 1/2 pieces, and then they're scored down the center at 2 3/4 and turn 90 degrees and score at 2 3/4 again. Once you do that, you're going to cut 3 of the diagonals and then score the 4th diagonal. Don't cut it. So you're going to do that to both pieces. So you can see I'm just lining up the middle score marks on each side and turning it 90 degrees and cutting off 3 of the 4 flaps that are formed and scoring the final one. I can't tell you when I was doing this the first time how many times I cut off that 4th flap. So be careful. Make sure you only cut off 3 of the 4. And you can see here I actually didn't do a very good job of lining up that last one, so I have to go over it a couple times before I'm happy with it. And then I scored the 4th one. So now I have 2 pieces that look exactly the same. Now I'm going to take my pieces of Designer Series paper, and you need 3 of them. They should be cut to 2 5/8 inch by 2 5/8 inch to make them slightly smaller than the panels on the box. Now that we have our panels made, I can take both of the lids, and I'm going to point the arrow to the left, and then I'm going to cut the bottom right diagonal from the base tip to the center point. And I'm going to do that to both of them. So they need to be cut exactly the same. Point to the left and cut from the bottom right to the center point. Now that I have that ready, I'm going to get everything ready so that I can sponge the edges. I wanted this box to have sort of an antique look to it. I think it goes really nicely with the Blushing Bride cardstock and the Something Borrowed Designer Series paper. So at all the fold marks, I'm adding Sahara sand with just a sponge, a piece of a sponge. So I want to make sure I get all the fold marks and all the edges so that it looks a little antiqued. So that's what I'm doing, and it takes me a long time to do this kind of thing, or relatively long time, I suppose, so I really sped it up for you. Now I'm putting using liquid glue to attach the Designer Series paper, and you can see that as I attach it to the different flaps, I'm going to be attaching it in a different pattern on each flap, and that's so that the box opens from the front. So it opens from the front to the back. If I had done it exactly the same, then the way that it connects to the box would be on diagonally. So you could definitely do that if that's what you want. But I liked it opening up towards the front. So then before you glue your flap, you just want to make sure it's how you want it, and you add glue to that remaining point that was there. You can see it opens like that. And I want the other one to be the exact opposite on the opposite side, so I'm adding liquid glue to that. And it takes a little while for it to dry, so give it a second. And it's not going to stay closed without something holding it closed, which is why you need the ribbon. So I used the Daydream Medallion stamp set to make my floral motif on the front. And oh, by the way, all of the supplies that I used are on my blog post, which I'll link in the description. But I used the Floral Frames framelit dies that are a coordinating die set for this. And of course I'm using Versamark ink to stamp these images, and then I'm going to add Whisper White embossing powder to two of them. The one that's on the Blushing Bride cardstock and the one that's on the small one on the Sahara Sand will have Whisper White. And then I'll use the Blushing Bride embossing powder for the largest one that's on Sahara Sand that you can see there. So off camera I'll heat set these so that you don't have to wait for me to do that. And then I will cut them with the Floral Frames framelit dies. So here they are already cut, and they look gorgeous, but I wanted them to also look a little antique, so I am taking a sponge and adding some Sahara Sand ink to this. And it's a personal choice how much you want. I kind of like a lot of sponging on the sides, but it's certainly a personal choice as to whatever you prefer. So I'm doing that, and the Whisper White can look very bright if you don't watch yourself. And then I used a bone folder to sort of bend the edges of the flower and push the centers in to give them a little bit more dimension. And then I put dimensionals between each layer of the flowers, and I stuck them together. So once they're together, I took two dimensionals and put them on the center of one flap. And you don't want them too far apart because you want your crocheted trim that closes the box to be able to slide underneath the flower. So I did sort of a diagonal gift box wrap here, and you can see I did that, and then I just loosely cut it and then loosely closed a knot. And I think it looks very pretty just like that. And you can see that this is the one I did before, and I'm just closing it previously. And I think they both look gorgeous. I think anybody would be happy to get it. It would look great for Mother's Day, and put a little beautiful jewelry box inside, I think would look gorgeous, or anything that you want to give. So if you want the supplies list, please check out my blog at craftsbyhappystamper.com, and I put the link in the description of this YouTube video. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, and if you haven't seen my channel before, please subscribe. Thank you.